Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of Printings Alive with me, your host, Warren Werbitt. Today, we are welcomed by, yes, you know it, another special guest, because every guest on this podcast is special. We've got Josh Fineman. How you doing, Josh?
How you doing, Warren? Nice to be here.
Oh, nice to have you. So, Josh, I met Josh online. I know it sounds a little crazy, but he had posted something on LinkedIn for a group that he's created, and the group is called Be More Mensch. And just because it had the word mensch in it, and for those that don't know, mensch is a Yiddish word, and really in simplicity what it means is just good people, good person, doing good, thinking of others and the people around them. So that caught my attention, and I reached out to Josh right away just because I wanted to know more about what it was. And I'm going to let him tell you what it is, but it was pretty cool. And then funny enough that as we were talking a little more prior to that, Josh comes from a creative digital video background, and his dad comes from the world of print and packaging. And then he mentioned to me, so I reached out to Josh's dad and had a great conversation with him. So the world really is small. You never know who you're going to meet, where you're going to meet them. But all that to say, welcome, Josh.
Lovely intro. Thanks, Warren.
Thank you. So why don't you just get into it and just tell us a little bit about what you do with Be More Mensch and the group.
Sure, man. Firstly, Mensch, when you look at the literal translation of Mensch, there are two translations. It's a German word that means human, and it's a Yiddish word like you mentioned, but the like Google translation or definition of Mensch is a person of integrity, which I think actually speaks much more to the core of what you were saying about being a good person. And what I love about that is all the work I do and the journey I've been on, it's all been about integrity, which is really about like having a deep knowing of who I am and living in accordance with that. And so every time that I feel out of integrity with myself, it's about kind of coming back into integrity, knowing who I am, my values, what I really want to create in the world, and just bringing myself back to that. So when I called the community I run Mensch, I actually didn't really know what the definition was until I retrospectively looked at it. I just liked the word because it was banded around my home the whole time. And like you said, it just feels nice to be called a Mensch. So I thought we need more Menschers in the world. But that's like, that really helped me cement like, okay, cool, this is the right name for it. And then just in terms of what it is, it's a community for men who essentially want to better themselves. Men who wants to show up and be in community of other men who are seeking ways to show up more fully for their loved ones and the things they care about the most. And if it's something that I've kind of learned on the journey that I've been on for the 40 odd years that I've been here, is like, it's really hard to know who I am and to be the person I want to be doing it all on my own. And I think a lot of guys really lack that sense of being on the journey with others in the world right now. And you only need to look at suicide rates and other statistics to show the extreme ends of that. But kind of in the middle where the 99% live, most guys are lacking deep friendships and connection and belonging, and a feeling like I've got these people by my side who are cheering me on, and if I fall down will help pick me up. And in my own small way, in my own corner of the UK, that's what I'm trying to create here.
Pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool also for timing in life, right? I think that everybody, man and women and children, are messed up a little and don't know where their soul is or where the core is of what the essence of their existence is supposed to be. Because we're pulled in so many ways by so many things that we lose the basics of life. Yeah. And like you, in my many years, a few more than you, have learned a lot about who I am, what's important, what's not important, all that FOMO stuff that you put aside. The FOMO will kill you, by the way, if you're always so concerned with what goes on. But I like the fact that, it's a men's group, because today, and I'm laughing because I'm thinking, how am I going to say this without sounding foolish? But it's not about the man anymore.
Yeah.
Right? There's groups for everybody else, excuse me, all kinds of support groups. And, we're not the big masculine, tough and rumble, image that we think of when we think of men.
Yeah.
Men, we have feelings too.
Yeah. My mentor always says there are lots of boys in the world and there aren't many men in the world, and that's largely because there aren't really enough spaces or male role models that allow men to learn about what it means to be themselves beyond the stereotypes that the world kind of funnels down us as to how we should be. Yeah.
I also think about conversations with friends. I have a few friends where, you can take it to a level of really intense conversations and really getting down to how one actually feels,
Yeah.
like really feels.
Yeah.
And then, but for the most part, you're not really having those conversations with others or other men,
Yeah,
right? Most
totally.
don't. I feel, and I feel like without even talking to you before, that men just can't bring themselves to a level of openness or openness in terms of themselves and true feeling.
Yeah.
And then when I reached out to you and you started like filling me in and telling me a little bit more, I was kind of like in awe, really in awe. And I thought it was amazing. And that's the reason why I thought, to have you on,
Thank you.
just for other people to hear, because if more people hear what's going on and what some people are doing, maybe they
Yeah.
break down little by little and become a little more human.
Yeah, for sure. For
You
sure.
know?
I mean, like the word that's really been up for me since the turn of 2026 is the word like performing. Like I basically I slipped my disc in my back towards the back end of 2025, and it's like caused me like immense amount of physical pain. Like I've never really had chronic pain before, but it's been 3 months of just being in pain nonstop. And what that's done is it's basically completely limited my capacity to show up. And obviously, a lot of what I do is helping and supporting and holding other people. And I think men generally, if I'm honest, and I think I am very much like this, I think men generally are much more comfortable helping others and holding others than helping ourselves. And so, even 10 or so years into this whole journey of really being clear on who I am, like I was confronted with this back issue about the amount of things I still have in my life where I'm showing up and performing in some way. Maybe I'm being the hero in certain scenarios. I'm trying to rescue people, or I need to be in a position of leadership because the idea of being a imperfect or a mere mortal is too uncomfortable. And it's been this like amazing reminder and insight into what it is that most men I connect with and sit with, or whatever form and shape that I'm with them in. Like that's what most men are struggling with, is the idea that they have to go out and perform and wear a mask and show up in a certain way and be a role, as opposed to just know what it's like to be themselves when they strip all of that back. And it's really scary to actually do that. Like I still have huge resistance to that because there's a part of me that doesn't feel safe in that. And a friend of mine said recently, like when I was saying about it's much easier to hold others or help others than be helped or be held and supported. It's because it is really scary to allow myself to let go and let someone else actually help me in the mess that I'm in, because I don't want to burden them. I don't want to be judged by them. I don't want them to problem solve me. I don't want to seem weak around them. I don't want it to shatter the illusion that I'm trying to maintain about who I am. Yeah, so I think that kind of answers your question, but that's what's really up for me right now. Is like that's what's going on with so many men right now. It's just the exhaustion of having to perform certain roles. It's knackering.
Well, it's, and I think, I think back to say my parents, and then I think to my kids and going forward. And, we're kind of in a pivot because with what you're doing and even some of the things I've done for myself and my thinking has caused me to change my ways a little. I say that with a smile because not always so easy to change, but I'm more open than my previous was, like, than my father.
Yeah.
I mean, what, little things, I don't get off the phone with my kids without saying I love you. And simple things like I don't remember that ever on my end, on the other side.
Yeah.
And I think it's that enforcement that everybody needs today, and that maybe we could have used a little more, because we're still living under a little bit of like, the man did this, the man did that, the man's masculine, muscular, and all that other stuff. And it's okay for us to break down and have a cry and say we need some help.
Yeah, completely.
And a lot of people, a lot of men, it just doesn't go that way.
Yeah.
Tell me about just how you bring people together. Tell me a little bit about how people feel about coming together, or where they come from, and then, when they walk out the door after a couple of the sessions, meetings, or gatherings.
Yeah. So I mean, it's quite an exciting time right now for me, because I built Mensch up to a point of what I wanted it to be, and then what sometimes happens when that happens is the question of like, so what's next? What's the next iteration of this thing that's constantly evolving and growing? Where does that come from? And so because of my back, I'm very much in this kind of transitionary phase of what do I want the next version of this community to look and feel like. So there are kind of, in terms of like bringing guys together, like the thing that we're becoming known for that I really want to build off of is a really simple weekly ritual on a Friday morning at a retreat site down the road to me. So I have a friend who a 5-acre farmland near me, and he's like a movement, like jiu-jitsu, yoga, breathwork, like a somatic body work practitioner. And I'm very much about the hosting and the conversation and the holding and the listening, so to speak. And so every Friday morning we go to his farm site. We have an hour of moving our bodies, and then he has a swimming pond. So all year round we swim in the water when it gets all the way down to 0 degrees. And then we have a sauna, and then we sit in a circle. And each man has 5 minutes each. And we just have 5 minutes to share like how we feel and what is it from the week that feels important to acknowledge. And that's it. It's a really simple experience. It's not like diving for an hour or two deep into traumatic past or anything like that. It's just a space once a week where guys can drop in and move their bodies and sweat out what needs to be sweated out, and then sit down with a coffee and just share for 5 minutes. And it is profound what can be experienced even in that kind of simple ritual, I'll call it, because so much can come out. And there's been everything from like the highest highs and the joys of, childbirth or engagements or job promotions, all the way down to like deaths or disease or anything that you can think of the lowest. But the fact that this space that we've created feels safe enough that these men can come and they can partake as much as they want to, and they can hear how other men are sharing from the heart, and it allows them to do that as well. It's like incredible. And I've had multiple people say that the sessions have been life-changing, and all they're very simple structures. And even if every other man, even if nobody else said that, like if no one shows up to these things, I'm showing up to it because I know this stuff feeds my soul, and I share from there. So that's kind of I think that's now become our kind of core thing that we do. And now this year, what I'm thinking of is, that works really well because it's the end of the work week. So there's something quite nice. Most men, especially the guys who come to my sessions, are kind of running their own businesses and stuff. Young dads, Friday mornings, work from home, need to decompress. So there's something with like the flow of the week that having that thing on a Friday is just like absolute magic and sets them up for the weekend. So we're now trying to ask ourselves, if we stick to the rhythm of men's weeks, what could a Monday morning look like? And so we were talking like, is it starting super early and setting an intention? And then we were like, well, that feels like another thing we're getting guys to do. So maybe it's a half a day in the morning, but it's a short journal, a bit of breath work, and then 2 hours of work, and then we sit around a fire and we have lunch together, and then we go back home. So it's like, how can we create ways of getting guys to come together, to slow down, to be in nature, and to connect, but in a way that feels kind of fun and energizing. So that's what we're kind of building out from just a community perspective. And I think that's the stuff that I'm most excited about. And then really where I learned my trade and where the kind of quote unquote like deeper work takes place is in these private groups of guys who meet once a month in the evening. And again, we meet on the retreat site, and it's the same group of guys. So imagine a group of guys who meet, like one of the groups has been meeting for 3 years, another group's been meeting for 6, 7 months now, and it's a swim and a sauna, and then we sit in a circle around a fire pit, and it's 2 hours of diving deeper into what's going on. And I facilitate it, and this year I'm bringing in other facilitators, hopefully as well, which is exciting. And I would say the community elements, like this Friday swim, that's like your gym work. That's just like your regular soul work for yourself, just to kind of top yourself up. The pack, this like monthly cadence of meeting up with the same guys, feels a bit more like a quest, because you're like really getting to know the other guys, and each session you tend to go a little layer deeper. And you know, session 1, everyone's a bit tentative and they only talk about work. And by session 6, they're talking about like challenges with sex life or addiction or suicidal thoughts, or just things that just like never get spoken out loud and witnessed. And it's pretty wild and amazing. And like I said, the impact and the ripple effects of this for me is more important than the experience itself. It's about like these men showing up more present with their kids when they get home, or being just like 1% more caring to their partner, or like being a bit more grateful when they go back into their work life for what they've built, instead of like lamenting themselves for the business empire that they still haven't created. Yeah, and it's lovely. It's a lovely thing.
No, so I'm thinking, you know, I was early on in business, I was part of a group called EO, which was Entrepreneur Organization. Then they have YPO. And in a very similar way, their forum groups are like that. It's men and women. So it's not just men, but it starts off that, you know, you're in the group, and then you have to get comfortable with the group because they're really your personal board of directors. And people discuss things, and they have a code of silence where, you know, no one discusses anything with anyone. And it starts off all business. Yeah. And then when you're together a little longer, and all it takes is one person to break with a heavy, whatever the heavy is, for others to loosen up. And then once that happens and you see more people loosening up, you know, the contributing factor comes into play, where people walk away after and going, and they walk in. What I like, you know, you're doing is the same thing, honing in a little more on specific, you know, needs with people, but you walk away. And if you walk away with one thought, you're not alone.
Totally.
The t-shirt.
Yeah, totally. Love it.
Right. That's what it is, because I think men and women today, we're trapped in our heads.
Right? And it's not what I've created. It's not like what I've done is like this like genius, unique concept. It's like this has been going on for thousands upon thousands of years. It's just got lost in the busyness and hecticness of life. We're talking about like tribe and village, and having elders around us, and feeling like we're going through things with other people, and we can share all elements of that, even if, you know, it's amazing. So yeah, like I know YPO really well, and they're amazing organizations as well. So I think the thing that I really love with what I'm doing with Mensch is it really, each evolution of it feels like it's another way of me expressing myself, or doing things for myself and sharing from there. So, you know, the nature, the fire pit, the yoga, the making the meal together, like all of that element, you know, sitting around a fire, like it's all very much like what I want for myself. And that's what's really cool.
Yeah. What I think is cool is that you're, you know, every person that you bring in that gets that feeling of I could speak, then goes out into the world, and it's just one more soldier promoting love, for lack of better wording, love itself, because the world just needs more of it.
Yeah,
right?
completely.
So the more soldiers we have out there. So tell me about, like, how do the people come to you? We said Mensch in Yiddish. Is it just Jewish guys, or it's all kinds of guys?
No, it's not actually. In fact, when it started, there weren't many Jewish guys in it. I actually just I grew up in like an irreligious but like culturally strong Jewish upbringing. So like, you know, even to this day, most of my longest standing friends are Jewish, and actually like now, because it's largely in person, whereas when I started it was online. A lot of the guys who come, and it's local now, a lot of the guys who come tend to be Jewish. No, like in one of my groups, I don't know, I'd say like maybe now, I don't know, 60% of the guys are Jewish, but like when it started, it wasn't like that at all. And it definitely has, it doesn't have like a religious lens to it, or even like that much of a culturally Jewish lens to it. But it is really special and nice to bring Jewish guys together around this, because I think in my community in North London, what I am doing and creating kind of is going so against the grain of the message that many of us have been shown about, like what it means to be a good Jewish man, that it's beautiful, you know, like it's that thing of, you know, in London, well, this is like my own experience, right? So I don't want to generalize here, but like I think there's like a pressure as a Jewish man, and this may be the same across other cultures as well, but there's a pressure as a Jewish man to kind of grow up, to earn lots of money, to give money to charity, to kind of protect and provide by establishing yourself from a career and business perspective. I think that's kind of a lot of the time what I learn it kind of means to be a good man. And I think a lot of guys who are now my age or even a bit older have either done that and don't feel fulfilled, or they're still striving to do it and it's killing them. And I think we're now at a stage where like a lot of guys are asking themselves, like, is this really it? Like, this can't be it. This can't be it. And I think for my parents' generation and their parents' generation, there wasn't as much conscious choice about what they were doing. They did it because that was the thing that you did. Whereas I think we're really blessed that like, I'm certainly now like at a stage, as you said, where it's just the blinkers are a little bit more open, and it's like, hold on a minute, like I want to be here to give my kids a bath at night, and like I want to like enjoy my time with my wife during the week, not just at the weekend. And you know, I don't just want to live for my holidays. Like, that just isn't how it goes, and holidays are fucking expensive now anyway, so we can't go on as many as we used to go on, you know? So yeah, so a lot of the guys who tend to come from that angle, and a percentage of them tend to be Jewish. It's like, there's got to be more to life than just being on the grind 24/7 and trying to succeed and prove yourself.
For sure. So, you know, just talking about like upbringing as a, you know, a Jewish guy, I think we're taught in general, like, I'm not religious at all.
Yeah.
Right. I like the community, try to keep everything else out of this conversation. But I think, you know, we as a people are taught growing up to work hard, try to study, although I couldn't make it through school.
Yeah.
Try to study, work hard, do the right thing, look after your family, provide.
Yeah.
Right. And then as we've gone on, we feel it, but we're also seeing with the rest of the world, we have all the other pressures, right? And, you know, we don't have to take to the most expensive vacation, but we're just taught to think a certain way.
Yeah.
You know, I just had this thought recently where, you know, life is what it is. And I always felt that I wanted to leave my kids as much as I could.
Yeah.
Because that's what came from behind.
Yeah.
Right. And I'd still like to, but as my life changes and things happen and come about, my goal now is not to leave them as much as I can. My goal now is not to cost them anything when I get older.
Yeah.
Because I want to spend and live and go see the world and not be hunkered down because I'm too concerned about giving.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I think like that, and then I think about the group and coming together, and just men, Jewish or not, coming together, it's like you said, we carry a lot of pressure.
Yeah. It's huge pressure
From the outside.
Yeah.
And then depending how you are on the inside, you could kill yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And create, mental anguish by
Yeah.
not having the things that you said you wanted to do.
Yeah. I think that's the point, right? The point is that like most of these narratives that I was probably unconsciously telling myself growing up was important, if I spoke to those people about what's really important to them for me, it wouldn't have been those things that I was telling myself it was. But I think because I didn't have that counterbalance of literally hearing all those other things that I needed to hear and processing them all as a young man, I took them all on as pressures. And I think that's also, and then that becomes double as hard when I'm not wired or motivated to be that way. Like I know some people who've like done really well for themselves because they're wired in that way. That message makes sense to them, whereas that message never like sat with me internally. So it becomes a double pressure, because then it's not only the pressure of I need to do that, but it's a pressure of, but I don't want to do that. And so I've got one foot on the brake and one on the accelerator. And again, like that's very, very common with a lot of guys that I end up working with. And a lot of it is like early stage burnout, or this recognition of like, this is unsustainable right now. Like I'm being asked to lead people. I'm being asked, but like I'm asking myself to show up 100% and lead people, to be a supportive husband and caring husband, to be a present and considerate dad, to be able to provide financially, at least partly, for like everything that my family are paying for right now. And then if I can go down to the pub, or I can watch football if I have time. Oh, I also need to really take care of my health. But like the idea of going to the gym at 6 a.m. is like just another plate spinning for me that I can't do. And then it's like, I can't do this. This is too much.
I'm sitting here and then I'm having a little bit reflecting, and you do reflecting as you get a little older. But I was that guy.
Yeah.
I grew up around a lot.
Yeah.
Didn't have a lot in the family. And then, a lot of friends, and then you see, and then you get into it, and you're doing, and you're building. And at one point, I had a pretty decent sized business, 27 years, built it up to 120 employees. And at the end of the day, I lost the business.
Yeah.
I lost the business and everything that went with it.
Yeah.
What you go through is it's crushing, and it's crushing for what it is. It's crushing internally in your own head.
Yeah.
Because some people understand, but most people probably don't really understand what you're feeling. You even have a sense of embarrassment.
Yeah.
Right. And failure, and like really bad. It's all bad. And I ended up going out and ended up hiring a really solid life coach who to this day, I still check in once a month.
Yeah.
Almost afraid to leave, but it was a whole rewiring of the brain, a whole rethinking. Yeah. And today, yes, I have to work, and I'm working, and I'm doing, a couple different things, but my needs and my wants have changed.
Yes.
Right. And I want my kids to be great first.
Yeah.
I even want my ex-wife to be great, mother of my children.
Yeah.
I want to work to do the things that I want to do.
Yeah.
But I've brought it down to what I really want to do, and not what I thought I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And what I need and what I don't need.
Yeah.
And what I don't need is a whole lot of stuff that I was doing that took up a lot of time, space, and created more anxiety.
Exactly. Yeah.
One of the biggest things I think I've done is I've learned to appreciate everything that I've had, every place I've been, everything I've seen. If I don't get to do anything anymore, I'm not going to be angry for the rest of my life. I'm still going to be grateful for what I was able to, like just said, see and do, because I know that 99% of the world doesn't get to do that. So I don't want to be that guy bitching.
Yeah.
But more embracing. And then I happen to have more feeling and empathy for people around me, which makes you feel better. I can't believe I'm saying that. I feel like I'm talking like the woman in the relationship, but
it's a beautiful thing though. Like to you know, it's interesting that you said that, you know, like that there's even that slight discomfort there of saying it, that you have to justify it by, because like I don't know, like without getting into kind of Jungian archetypes, but like we all have a masculine and a feminine part of ourselves, you know, like it isn't just one or the other. And I think like what I've learned for myself is like my masculine, my like boundaries and clarity and logic and ability to kind of use inner wisdom is like exponentially increased when I'm in touch with intuition and emotion and connection and empathy. You know, label it what you want. Like it's just a label. Masculine doesn't mean man and feminine doesn't mean woman. It could be the other way around. But like the integration of those two things has been massive for me. Massive. And if anything, I would say like I'm still constantly learning how to be in balance with that. So I think that's massive. You can feel that.
So another thing that happens is when you're kind of doing that and you're like that,
yeah,
what you get back from the other side,
oh yeah,
is tenfold.
Yeah,
right? Because you're letting it. Listen, if you go back a bunch of years, the only time I ever saw guys with a tear in their eye was like watching some type of commercial, or I'm trying to think of that movie back from the football player in Yale or UCLA, Rudy. This is the movie Rudy.
I don't think I've ever saw it. No,
oh my God.
Watch it.
You have to watch. You have to watch this movie, Rudy.
Right.
It's about a young guy who goes to university. Family has nothing. He works his way. He sleeps where he sleeps, and he's the only guy to ever be hoisted on the shoulders of the football team at the school.
Wow.
And I don't care who you are. I don't think there's one guy that has a dry eye in that movie. But it's the type of movie in the beginning. It's the type of movie as a guy you want to watch alone.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah,
you don't want anyone to see
I'm a big tearer in basically any movie that my kids make me watch now. If it's a cartoon and it's something to do with parenthood, like I'm in a flood of tears by the end. It's like hysterical.
I think we're gonna freeze.
You there?
Yeah.
Cool.
By the way, I'll edit this, but Riverside records on 2 locations and brings it together.
Fine.
So yeah. Okay, sorry. So we were just saying the movies.
Yeah. No, I was saying like I'm a big teary guy. I'm a big teary guy. But this comes back to what I was saying at the beginning, and I think this is what I've had to learn for myself over and over and over and over again, which is like, what would it be like if I stopped the need to perform or lead or show up or achieve, and I just allowed myself to be like exactly as I am right now and feel how I feel? Like it really comes back to that. And I think that as with all the men that I've worked with, which is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds over the years, like that's the hardest thing to be able to do, is to like just allow ourselves to cry or laugh or like feel the fear, like feel the fear we're feeling, or really feel the anger. You know, not let it spill over and lash out, but actually just feel what it's trying to tell us instead of like just react to it.
It's nice when you get to put the guard down.
Yeah.
Right? And you're not holding anything up, and whatever's flowing out of you. Right. I started 5 years ago, started meditating, and even learning, I was taught, how to do some breathing exercises.
Yeah.
And at first I laughed.
Yeah.
You're going to teach me how to breathe. I breathe every day. But it doesn't work like that, right? What happens is you get into a situation, you stop breathing.
Yeah.
When you stop breathing, everything goes up and blows your brains.
Yeah.
But when you learn how to channel your breath a little bit, it just keeps you balanced and a little calmer. And then even with the meditation, I could sense when I'm feeling off a little or something, and I could take a minute or two and just do take a breath, or even just close the eyes and go into a short, quick meditation. It just takes you out of where you're at. And all you need is that little moment to help you reset. It's all about the reset.
Totally.
Right? And I do. So tell me about some of the people and some of the comments or experiences that they've expressed to you from being part of these groups.
tell you about some of the people, the comments, what they've expressed.
Like, you must have had some guys coming in that are like stone cold, not moving.
Yeah.
Right? Like, true definition, at the end, they've got a tissue.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's been plenty of that, especially on the retreats that I run. The retreats they're quite like an intense burst of an experience. So you tend to, it's quite often that a man will just, like, everything they've been holding will kind of come out at once. And it typically is the guys who are quite very, very tightly put together at the beginning. But the quote that, like, I'll always remember, which I think is also, like, really important to think about when it comes to, you know, whether it's a coach or a men's group or any kind of work or anything, any environment you put yourself in where you're working alongside other people, is this guy said he'd been in a group for maybe 2 years at that time. And he said, you know, like, I'm not a different person to who I was 2 years ago. Like, if you saw me on the street, you'd think I was the same person. But I know that my base level of how I show up has risen dramatically from where it was. So, like, that really stuck with me, because I think that's what's really true with all of this. And I think that's what I'm trying to do for myself and for the men around me, is like, this is about, like, creating something that's sustainable, that builds a sense of consistency and a sense of, like, I'm going through it with other people, and that you won't necessarily, you might see huge shifts over the course of very short periods of time, but actually the real magic comes in looking back a year or two later and being like, oh shit, like, I now, when I'm at home, like, I'm not on my phone when I'm around my kids, or, like, you know, I go into meetings now with men or women who I used to find intimidating, and I'm able to just hold the conversation a lot better than I used to be able to. I'm better in conflict. I'm able to speak out how I'm feeling in the moment, and
I'm less judgmental.
Totally, yeah. I'm less judgmental, and so I think that was like, on my base has risen. Was like that sums this up. You know, more than if I was to say to you, like, oh yeah, I've had people say to me, like, I've totally changed my entire life, I'm not the person. It's like, that isn't what this is. That's not real.
No.
Yeah.
By the way, those people don't get
it. Well, I mean, some people might feel like that, and that's amazing, but it was what this guy said that felt, it was more important to me when he said that, because I was like, yes, that is what this, there is something in this that is about you just you take one small step in front of the other alongside other people. And then that's what happened with me. You look back one day and you're like, shit, I've come a long way from where I was, and I didn't even notice it.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's incredible. It's an incredible, I don't even know that it's, excuse me, I don't even know that it's always describable, of that uplifting, light, less burdened feeling.
Yeah.
When you walk down the street and I'm listening to music and I feel that I'm floating, and if people are looking at me, they're like, oh my God, check out that dude walking.
Yeah.
Right?
Completely.
The smile's going, the arms are going, I'm standing there.
Like for me, it was like tingles, and I have this with some of my clients as well. It's like there's like a tingling that happens down the neck that, like, is like, there's like, you're right. There's like like coaching clients say to me, is like, there's just a lighter weight to how they're walking a lot of the time. So yeah.
And you're looking and you're appreciating more than you were before, and you're seeing things differently, right? Because when you're better with yourself, when you have more empathy for people, you're more concerning, you're looking, like, you're noticing the leaves changing colors, you're noticing like that.
Yeah.
There's more emotion in you.
And it's like, as I say, it is like, the challenge is that to the man who still feels he needs to achieve, it's quite hard to try to explain to that man, yeah, but like, have you seen the leaves changing colors recently? Do you know what I mean? Because like, but what I found is like I said, like, it's when a man is like, I just don't think that's enough for me anymore. Like, that is not sustainable to living the good life. There has to be another way. And that doesn't mean ditch the desire to grow and achieve or any of that. It's just like for the man who knows that isn't enough, that can't fill your cup up alone. I think that's when this work is magical, because then you feel like you're in community, you belong, you're in community, and you're learning, and as you said, it's like not only it's like I see that the colors of the leaves have changed, and then not only do I see that, for me it's like I then drop a voice note into my men's group, and I'm like, guys, I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but have you noticed the color of the leaves changing? Like, it's just lit me up. And then what's really cool is this is like, I'm just imagining some people listening to this be like, that is like not why I want to join a men's group. But like, what's really like, we're really going with these leaves.
But it is.
That's it. That's the tagline. The tagline is, you'll notice the colors of the leaves changing. That's why you should do this work. But what's really nice is whatever version of that it is, you know, guys, like I had a really difficult moment before with my ex or with my partner, or like I feel like I'm like disconnected from my kids today, or like I had the best moment this morning when I went on a run, and like you're sharing all these micro moments with people, and what you get back is not like sharp loser. What you get back is like, that's cool, man, or I hear you, man, that's tough. You know, there's no judging or fixing or burdening. It's just like, I'm with you. And it's like, oh good, I'm not the only one who's thinking this way. That's amazing. This means this thing that's lighting me up right now, that feels really true and feels so silly that it's true because I'm still judging myself that it's true. I don't have to judge myself, because like this feels real to other people as well. And that's what's really cool about it.
Yeah, it's okay to be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Listen, it's not the same, but kind of similar in my thinking. When I travel, and I travel alone, and I travel for work, I find that I get to really be me around all the people that I don't know.
Yeah.
Versus when I'm at home around all the people that I do know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And it's just I'm a little lighter. You know, a little looser with. I can't get much looser with the tongue, but I'm pretty loose. But I notice what I enjoy. I notice the differences when I'm here, when I'm there.
Yeah.
And I find you get back more from people when you go through that self-reflection and that change. Even if you have a partner, you might notice when the hair is done now. You might notice, or you will notice those things that you don't really notice all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I notice more now when my wife, I mean, it's not a perfect relationship by any means, but I definitely notice more now when I'm like, she's tired, or like, you know, she's not just being ratty at me, like she's just pretty tired, or like she's really happy about that thing. I don't want to say something to feel right because I know she's wrong. I want her to feel happy, right? So I'm gonna. Do you know what I mean?
You have a little bit more compassion for people across from you.
Right? And the thing that came up before that I do want to say that I think may build off of, if the color of the leaves changing didn't sell, you know, working on yourself or finding groups or life coach or whatever it is, the thing that you did say that I can see for me was so important on my journey is like for in my 20s, like my wife was my therapist. I didn't really speak to my friends about what was going on with me, as many friends as I had, for the reason that you said. It was like, I don't know if they can handle it, or like I don't think they can kind of meet me how I want to be met, and I don't want to burden them. I had my parents, but I was like, they will try and rescue me out of this, and I don't want to be rescued. And so the only person I leaned on was my wife. And so when she turned around when we had a newborn baby and was like, you've got to find other people, that was the greatest thing she ever gave me, because I found a life coach, and then I found a men's group, and then I found a mentor, and I started creating spaces away from my life to figure out who I was. And then that built a bridge back into my life. And at my 40th birthday in January, I invited all of my oldest friends and my dad and my uncle and my cousins for a men's morning at my retreat site. And then we had this really beautiful dinner for all of my family and friends here afterwards. And it was this very like important moment of feeling like I spent all of this time getting to know who I am and knowing this is what I want. I can now share it without a fear of they won't like it, because like I know that I like it anyway, and I know there are enough people in my life who like it with me, so I'm on the journey with them. And that was like really important. And I think that's what happens with the guys in my groups, or the guys that I coach, or just the guys that I bump into and have a conversation with now, is it's this feeling of like, oh, he gets me. That means it's safe for me to feel this way. That's cool. Now I can go back to my real life and not worry so much whether I'm like, it's okay for me to feel this way.
It's pretty incredible. I'm sitting here smiling the whole time while you're talking, because, you know, from my journey and everything I've been through and all the work and everything.
Yeah.
I wish more people, not that they should need the journey because they went through so many things.
Yeah.
Of good or bad, but just the experience of letting themselves listen to some others and just opening themselves up just a little to let something in, is a game changer.
Yeah.
And I've been saying this for a long time, but even laughter, the human being is not laughing enough every day anymore, right? I don't watch the news, but if you turn the news on, you know, I wonder, why don't they always start with something good, right? Why is it always death and murder that leaves you like this? And could you imagine if every news station colluded for a good cause?
Yeah.
And the good cause is putting out good information instead of helping some other psycho want to go buy a gun and kill someone.
Yeah.
Like we as humans are in control of the messaging.
Yeah.
And I don't understand the messaging that's out there, like on a regular basis, beating people. But it's partially because of that we need groups for men and women, for people to be able to just speak and open up. I don't know why the world is so up on creating so much anxiety for so many people.
Yeah. Well,
kind of
I'm with you. I'm with you. Like more spaces where we can slow down, calm our nervous systems, feel like we belong and in community, feel that we can trust ourselves, we can love ourselves, we can accept everything about ourselves, we can be proud of ourselves. Like to find more of those spaces. Like imagine how much more good can go out into the world if more people felt like that more.
Well, maybe if we had billboards promoting good mindfulness, right, and empathy as opposed to lawsuits, the messaging could be different. And then this is the not funny. Whenever you go to a funeral, you don't hear anybody talking about, you know, what they could have done or what they did, right? It's what I want to do, but then they leave the funeral and they don't do anything.
Yeah.
And we really are on this planet for a short time.
Yeah.
So why not make it the best time with what we know from everyone else's experiences? Why do people continue to want to go down the gutter when we know that that's really not a good route?
I had this great thing recently, and I've applied it to my my journaling. Well, I've kind of like tweaked it. So, like I've been like very conscious of death and dying for a long time, but not in like a morbid way, in just like a really leveling kind of way. Like the idea that like I'm going to be on my deathbed one day, and like what am I going to think, and what am I going to regret, and what's going to be really important in those moments. And I find that whenever my mind is panicking or I don't feel like I'm enough, like I always go to that thing of like, okay, I'm told I have 24 hours to live. Like, what am I going to be thinking about for the next 24 hours? And it's like never the thing that my mind is panicked about at all. It's just like kiss your kids a million times and tell your wife you love her and go outside and hug some trees and like laugh at how brilliant the world is. You know, like all of that stuff.
And we don't even really know. We're just thinking, what do you think? But, right? But what's the real thought? I'm grateful,
exactly.
I'm not grateful.
Exactly. It's just like this. It's just like the ultimate leveler. But like sometimes that can be like well, like realistically, I'm not going to die in the next 24 hours. So, like, you know, the mind starts to play games with that. And I heard this really great thing recently where a guy was saying how it was like some sort of podcast or something. Can't remember who it was, but they were saying how every time they are stressing about something, you know, every time they feel like they failed or made a mistake or something's gone wrong, whether it's in work or life, whatever it is, they will consciously write down that day what's happened, how they're feeling, what their mind is telling them about themselves, you know, all of the shame shit that comes up, you know, how unfair life is, how crap we are, why we can't figure out all of that stuff. And he says, I then set myself a reminder for 30 days' time. And in 30 days' time, I will read that journal entry back. And he said, because what normally happens is I'm not worrying about that thing anymore. And I was like, so true. So now instead of me journaling, if I died in 24 hours, what would I be worrying about? What would I be thinking about? I now actually give myself a month. I was like, if I had a month to live, like, what would I really focus my time and energy on? Because like, I feel like a month is like it's a bit more time to really like breathe and like to think about how would I spend this 30-day period of time. And it's nearly always the same thing as the 24-hour period, but there's something in that, what that guy said. I was like, yeah, like I'm not going to be thinking in 30 days time about this thing my brain is worrying about right now. And you know, if I am and I'm really going to regret it, then like I better tell everyone I know and see if I can get some help on this and not ruminate on it myself.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. So one of the biggest things that I've learned in working and getting through things is our brains are really, really like, they're out to sabotage us, to kill us, right? So the one thing that I was taught, which was easy, it's actually the easiest thing in the world, but it's the hardest thing in the world. And that's when your head is spinning and you keep doing those scenarios over and over. You ask yourself, is that real? And when you say no, it stops.
Yeah.
But if you don't do that, the spinning becomes real. Then the thoughts become your beliefs, and then you're trapped. And when you figure out how to stop, because what do they say? 80% of our head spinning is waste of time.
Yeah.
Right? You worry about the stuff that's not going to be real. Not easy, but after a long time of doing it, it's amazing how you're in a situation and it's going, and then you just go, oh my God, that's not happening. And then, okay, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
Like literally just like that.
Love it.
So it's pretty cool.
Love it.
Wow. That was a quick hour.
I know. I don't even know what we spoke about. I feel like I've had I hope this was actually valuable to anybody who listens to it, but I've really enjoyed it. So thank you.
So when you say valuable, for the first time, I'm thinking, who am I just going to download this podcast to and send it to them like today just to listen to?
Yeah. Nice. I like it.
Because uncut anything, just because I just think it's an awesome, I think it's an awesome conversation. And there's also a lot of conversations going on in general about mental health in people. So like I said earlier, you never hear about the man, big muscular man, but we're a little soft and needy and we make the worst patients. So, we have to do things that will help us. But wow, we're going to do this again. I'm going to follow up with you.
Cool, man.
Because I think the more messaging that's out there, if it helps one person move the needle a little,
100%.
then it's worth it. Because when I look around what's going on in the world, it's all pretty big and heavy. And before mountains, the messaging for anything out there, peace, humanity, it's just one person at a time. I call it all hand-to-hand combat in a good way.
Yeah.
Right? You get one person, the two people go convert 4 converts 8 converts 16, and goes on. Because that's what you have to do. The bigger messaging isn't going to work the way it comes out today, right? It's all too fast, and these things are going to kill us.
I didn't even see what that was. Is that a brick?
It's a phone.
It's a phone. I was going to say, bricks are going to kill us.
Bricks will kill us, but the phone will do it quicker.
The phone will as well.
But I think everyone has to make a conscious effort to put their best foot forward, either to help themselves or help the person next to them.
Yeah.
So, wow.
Yeah, may I close with a question, like something that people often ask me that I think can sometimes be important. Like, if there are any male listeners here, or if there are anyone who knows any men in their lives who, like, it's hard, right? Like, you don't want to say, "Oh, you should listen to this; it will help you," because men will often shut down when they feel like someone's trying to do that.
Sorry, actually, it is okay to say you should listen to us, and we have to start saying that.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, you're right, but like it can be hard.
It's tough.
Like it takes.
Yes.
Like basically, I think I want to say for anyone, like, if there's any sort of fear involved at all, like, that's totally normal. If it's a fear of like, oh, I don't know where to start or where to look or where to join or who to talk to, like, that's totally normal. That's like what we were talking about, Warren. That's the mind trying to control and keep you safe. And so, like, don't worry about that. My only wish for you is, like, just take the first smallest step forward. Just take the first smallest step forward, whatever that is, and see what happens from there. But, like, don't do nothing if you feel called to do something after this conversation today.
Yeah, I'm going to put your contact and websites on the podcast
Cool, thank you.
for anybody out there. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world. Whether it's Josh or me, actually, I'll jump in with you. If anybody, you want to reach out, you want to have a conversation, you want to feel safe in talking, feel free to give me a buzz, give Josh a call. Maybe you want to start some local community men's groups in your area, and Josh could help with that as well, right?
I think that might be why we started talking, because you said you wanted to start something, and so, like, that, I have lots of those conversations. And anyone who books time in with me, whether they're in the UK or abroad, whether they're fit for mensch or coaching, or they just want to have a conversation, I always give a half an hour to anyone who wants to. So just go on the website and click on the book a call, and I'll add that, Warren, so you can add it in, and like, let's talk. It would be a pleasure to.
Yeah, cool. Well, it's funny, eh? Just me reaching out to you, and then here we are. So actually, first, I thank you for taking the time and coming on. Truly my pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
I didn't know where we were going to go with the conversation, but I'm most pleased with it. And I hope everyone who is listening feels, they're not alone, and knows that there is somewhere, not necessarily with maybe me or Josh, but there is always someone that you could reach out to and speak with, and don't hold anything in. And if you don't know anyone, call one of us. It's safe, right? It's like the safe room.
Exactly. So thank you so much for having me, Warren. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. So everybody listening, I just hope you listen to the end. If you listen to the end, feel free to share this if you felt something or something resonated with you. As always, if you want to hear something, let me know. If you have an idea, if you have a thought, if you think there's someone I should speak to, please reach out to me. I would love to. I appreciate all of you for listening, and I hope to take this podcast and just continue and give people thoughts, ideas, and let them know that they're not alone, and we're a bunch of people in the world, all working, all struggling, and all having a good time, all at the same time. So thanks to everybody.